Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going through the first three matches of the round. I was unable to get back on after the first video back. Just busy the last two nights, but doesn't matter. We can get on now and have a look at these matches. I was actually able to go to the Crows Demon game, living in Adelaide, which is good, and able to see a few things, but as you can see, bad performance from the Crows, and our season has gone from bad to worse. Sorry. Starting off looking at the Supercoach scoring, I guess. Jake Saligo, a great score. I think we'll see that his CBAs went up this week. As Matty Nix tried to do a little bit different. I'm thinking I felt like I saw him in there more, especially in the second half. As they realised he was being quite damaging. But yeah, the Crows just look a little bit slow, and I think this midfield's going to change a bit. I would hope so. I feel like Laird could be used better off the back flank, and then maybe putting a little bit more speed in with like a Rankin or someone. But it was a good score from Saligo. I just don't know if he's going to be a good pick this year. I think he'll be a good pick maybe next year. I think that the Crows midfield's going to change a lot, especially with them losing. We're going to see like movements. We've already seen Dawson go forward, and Crouch is probably going to be the one that stays in there because he can't really play anyone anywhere else. And if we got Laird on a back line, he could be top six, to be honest. Especially with Malira going down, they're really young back then. They could use someone like Laird. But that'll be interesting to see. Hopefully there's a bit of a change up. I'd like to see Rankin and guys like that going through the midfield a bit more, which moves us on to Dawson. Poor score from him, but probably one of his better scores this year. I think he might be a good target later on. If he does play up more forward, we could see him as a mid forward, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be more like maybe 5 minutes at the end of each quarter rather than a more full-time role there, but we'll see. Crouch had another good game, a lot of disposals. Well, good Supercoach wise. A lot of feedback is that he's just not damaging, which is probably true, but you do need the guys who can get the ball out to the guys who can be damaging, and that's probably Crouch's role. Yeah, we just need to see it in the hands of the good ball users, or we need to get some more pace in there, which is why I think Rankin going in there would be nice. Yeah, I just think it would be good. Keane was really good for those who bought him. I did think about it actually because he is getting kickouts, and I think he will have seen probably a good lot of kickouts from that game. Whether to get him next week is interesting. A lot of people didn't want to go for Bramble because the price was awkward and yada yada yada. And that's where Keane's moving into. But you are seeing some people think about this now with his last score. So I don't know. I mean, it could be all right. I mean, Bramble's probably got more of a history than Keane of actually being able to score, but he does seem to have a good role back there, Keane, at the moment, getting a lot of the kick around down back, getting kick out. So maybe this is for him. Moving on to Rankin. Yep, still in my team. And I think it still stands from what I said, is the fact that, the Crows aren't playing well and Rankin's still scoring well. And the reason I wanted to go into the midfield is because every time he touches the ball in there, it's a good entry into the forward line, which is, I think, something we've been lacking. And he just is a little bit elusive. Like, even you watch him on Thursday, and when he got the ball, he was able to, throw someone off him, kick one in, hit Tex on the chest. And, that's what we're missing from the midfield. And I just don't know why we don't. Like, I know people are like, oh, we need Rankin up forward to kick goals. But if the ball isn't getting there and isn't getting there well, then what's the point? He's just going to be wasted there. And I think he's getting into a prime where he can look for more midfield time. And it would give the Crows a bit more different. Like, they put him in there a few times, but I just think he should be put in there more. And they should try and drive him for a bit of growth outside of just kicking goals, because you want players to be able to kick just more than just goals. And this 88 shows off of what? Well, he had 18 disposals, 10 marks. No, he didn't. 18 disposals, 4 marks, but he could be a lot more. And there's a bit of conjecture about the fact that there's probably a wasted forward, but looking at our forward line, you're not getting players that are scoring 88 that much, and people were happy to pick Wines when, there were 4 other mids around the same price. And yes, he did have a good run at the start of the year, but Wines had you look at their midfield, you knew they were going younger, and Drew's now stepped up and he's now got pushed out of that. He's injured this week as well, so a lot of people are trading him out anyway. But I just think it was interesting that, Wines, it was being put into a midfield slot for people where we expect, 110, 120, but Rankins look down on, even though he can go, he has pretty much gone 80, 90, which is something in the forward line. We didn't really know who was going to be able to do that consistently. They're the same-ish price. I know Old Wines has probably got a better average, but he is a midfielder, whereas Rankin is a forward. So you're looking at 2 different averages there. So when you put that together, it's not that much of a difference. And considering the start has been so bad, I'm not terribly disappointed with Rankin's scoring. And he's honestly not the biggest issue, although it was hard to trade someone out this week. I'm happy to just take these 90s, 88s, whatever, from a forward line player that I'm probably not getting from anyone else other than Flanders, who was another 80k expensive anyway, or 50k at the start of the year. Jackson, who we don't even know how he's going to score when Darcy gets back. And then I've got Heaney. So, what is there out of that? Mackay would have been good, but, no one knew he was going to kick this well. And the others are Hogan, who's kind of dropped off, and Max King, who a lot of people are thinking about this week, which I don't mind. Do something different. It's boring when we all pick the same players. I think, go for King. If it works, you're a fucking genius. If it doesn't, you're not. And you go to something else, and what do you want to do? Pick what everyone else picks just because that's safe. If you want to get up in the ranks, you got to try something different, and King something different, King something different, and Rankin was something different. And it's not the word, it's not the most favored pick. He's going to go down a little bit of money, but I was picking him as a keeper, which is the other thing. People with Wines weren't picking him as a keeper. I think Rankin can at least be F6, whereas I don't think Wines is going to get near enough to M8 even, or even a good M8. So if he gets forward status, that's probably different, but I think a lot of people are trading him out this week. So, that's a trade out that they're going to trade back in, whereas I'm just going to trade him in if he goes there. So not too worried about that. The rest of Adelaide, not too interesting. Worrell wasn't too valid. No, he was 440, wasn't he? I think Worrell is. But Nankervis, McHenry, Cook, and Parnell were all low price. Parnell obviously had a pretty fucking game. I think he'll probably get dropped. I wouldn't mind seeing Dowling, who's I think a 123k. Let's have a look. Dowling is 123k mid forward, which would be a nice entry. Hopefully he goes well in the sample this week. But Parnell was 175. So if he does get another game, he could be interesting coming off the bubble. I'd just wait for that. And he's a defender, which is what we've been looking for. Nankervis 243k, so a bit more expensive. You want to see a bit more from him. And Cook is, also a midfielder rookie if we are looking for it. But how did Cook go? He played on a wing. 49. So it's probably not someone you really want to get at that price either. So, at least it's a little bit. I mean, Burgess was subbed, so, but he plays a different role. I think Dowling will get a game, which would be good. Barry didn't play well either. And, Barry was subbed, so I can't actually say that. He only had, not much game time, so I can't really say that. But, I think there's a little bit to go down with these players, especially with the injuries. So, no more, thank God, but be interesting to see what happens from here. We really could use Gilthorpe. I think he was going really well in preseason. It's sad to see he got injured, but that's enough about the Crows. I'm probably going to speak more about them in depth than other teams because I watch them a lot more and follow them a little bit harder. Traka really played well. I think he had 6-7 disposals in the first 2 or 3 minutes. It was ridiculous. I reckon he had 4 in the first pull up and scrimmage of the game. So really good from him. Gorn, bit disappointing, slowed down. I had him as VC and I'm taking the VC. Always take a 129 VC. I think like last week I had Sarong and I went Bont and that backfired. So yeah, just take the 129, bank it. If you lose out, you lose out. But I'd rather be safe with the 129. McVee is actually very interesting because I did look him up and he was getting nice kickouts, but his scoring was pretty below par until this week. Yeah, 49, 82, 95 is not bad, but at 350k you need more. And this game kind of showed how he drops off because that score dropped away a little bit. Not much else here that's really relevant. I mean, Clayton Oliver, you have to get rid of him if you haven't already. He just doesn't look like he's got the match fitness. Windsor, I actually was surprised people were trading out. Like, I get you don't like the role necessarily, but at least he's got job security. And, 61's not the worst from a forward, so rookie. So, yeah, not bad. Billings, absolute horror. He just 0-3 again, and, like, he missed one, like, running in from, like, 25 on his own. It was a bit of an angle, but he, like, shanked it. So, yeah, I think if you haven't got off Billings, he's going backwards. Get off him. Blake Howes, I think the problem with his scoring, it might actually kind of tie in with like what Michelini was like last year, is where they started off well, they were scoring like not bad, and then the team goes, you're playing well, let's see your defensive capabilities and let's put you on some lockdown. And last week he got Rioli, and this week he was kind of playing on Rankin and Rochelle, and it just kills his like opportunity to score and this 46 was quite lucky. He got a free in the last and a couple of kicks which helped because he's on like 26 at the end of the third quarter. Now it might be time to trade him because the scoring is not there. Obviously, if you have him on the bench, I'd probably just hold him. I think the scoring could come back if he starts to get some games where there isn't such damaging small forwards. But at the moment, that seems to be the flavour this year's small forwards. They seem to be doing really well. But yeah, a bit disappointing. I had him on field. I did think about trading him this week. There was like a 3-way trade. I went to get Whitfield, but selection came out and it didn't come to be. So Brisbane versus North, really good game for Brisbane. They needed this to get their game back on track. Obviously, Neil got does it say Neil got injured? He was absolutely flying. Wardlaw tag called after quarter 2, subbed off, right ankle injury. That's the same injury as previous week, so that's one to keep an eye on if you're going for Neil. I think you wait for him till his bye. Dunkley had a good game. McCluggage had a good game. I didn't get to watch this, to be honest. I was still at work. But I did see Neil had like 10 or 14 in the first or something ridiculous. So, yeah, really good game from him. Darcy Wilmot, he was a good player last year. He seems to be getting a lot of that run and gun from their back line. I think he's getting a few kickouts as well. 397, so awkward price. He's probably like that Nasir Wanganeen-Malira, Wanganeen-Malira, sorry, that will come on in future years. But yeah, keep an eye on him. Going down, Kyle Lohman, so he kicked a couple goals. He looks pretty good. He's been the sub a lot. That's probably been the only problem, but he's really cheap, 145. And we don't have many downgrade options, especially in the forward line. It's only really Sonsi, especially because if you miss out on like a Buka Kamas and stuff, they're probably gone too far from there. We all saw that with Dempsey last week. So if you're going to jump on Lohman, it's probably next week. I don't mind him. I think he looked like he was leading up a lot and getting, the entry kicks, and he can kick goals as well. And he's shown before he can score quite well. And if it wasn't for him being injured last year, we wouldn't even have him. So I don't mind this. I better get through this so I can get this done before the game and just show the last switches before that. But anyway, otherwise with Brisbane, not much to tell here. North, so Charlie Comben, really, really good game from him, 220k forward, so price is awkward. So if you didn't want to go Dempsey, it's hard to, I think, like, other than the fact that he's got a 129, it's kind of hard to like say, yeah, I should definitely go Comben. because Common was going pretty badly until like the last half or so, where Brisbane probably let off a little bit. Um, I don't know. It's just an awkward rookie price where if he puts up a bad score now, it's like just a bit of a failure. Um, but if you trust in his scoring, he's not getting ruck time either, so it's not like he's getting some hit outs or anything like that by the looks. So, but he did tackle well. They did say he looked tired in the first quarter, but obviously that was not the case because he really backed it up. So I don't know. I'll probably just wait and see how he scores next week and get him off the bubble. I think. I don't think you should go early on him because I don't know if this is really genuinely a good representation of what he will be yet, but he could prove it wrong. Sheasel just being Sheasel. LDU, he looked like he was doing quite well, and then he kind of dropped off. Going down to Tom Power, which is probably a popular bring-in player brought in this year week. Sorry, it just looks like he couldn't get any kicks really, and it was a tight ground, so that's probably why he probably gets that first handball out of the bottom and then gets it out from there, or he's in the link up, which didn't help him. 15 tackles is very nice though, and if he can get those in on a regular basis, he's going to go well. I'm interested to see his CBAs because I was a bit worried from the naming of the teams where he was going to line up, but it looks like 73 is not the worst, and if you don't have Fisher and you have Power, like they're scored about the same, and a lot of people still have Fisher, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. McKercher, a bit disappointing, but 54. Yeah, if you were able to loop, that's great. If you couldn't, then bad luck. I had Lazaro who got dropped. It was annoying because I couldn't loop him, so because he played so early. But going forward, they've got really late games where I can loop him, so I kind of decided to keep him. I also kind of rated him higher than Sexton, especially Sexton's being totally dropped out of the team. But I'll talk about that more in the trades. So, yeah, not much more here. And then the Port Adelaide Bombers game. So, Port Adelaide, Rosie absolutely dominated the first quarter, and he just kept going from there. 3 goals too. So this could have been absolutely massive, and I really didn't actually see a ceiling game like this in Connor. It just seemed like Butters was going to be that ceiling. And Rosie was just going to be the consistent hundreds. And now he's shown this. I am quite interested in Rosie just because what you see with Butters is like he had a 40 at the half. And then that could like translate into only like a 70 or 80 sometimes. But and I was surprised he got to 119. I thought this was going to be the game where they were going to get punished, but he didn't punish them. So that's good for those coaches. Horn Francis is very interesting, especially if he gets forward status. And then from there, we've got Houston, 106. So low DT though. So this could really be worse if he doesn't kick well. So that's probably something to keep an eye on. I don't mind waiting on Houston. He hasn't really like been the guy who's like getting 140s. He's just getting 110s, which for a defender is fine, but it's not like you need to get him in because he's really damaging you. Willem Drew still 104, so you don't mind that. Coming if you did get him. I don't know if people went different there. I didn't mind as a different pick because he was a bit cheaper as well, I think, but it's still like 430, so it's in that wines range. Soldo, 92. So if anyone had him as ruck, it's a bit of a cheaper option. But McKinty, not great game. Neither was Mead. Like he was a 190k board. I guess it's not too bad, a 55, but you'd want more from him, especially if he was getting mid-time. Boki injured in the red vest, so I wonder if that opens up anything for anyone. What's he done? Back problem. That could not be good for an older player. And let's go to the Bombers, where Nicky Martin backed up a big score last week with pretty much the same score this week. And this is what I was saying. The disposals are there. We could see the disposals were there. It's just the efficiency, and he's starting to get it together, and this could be dangerous for people who traded him out and those who don't have him because he is looking good, looking real nice, and I'm loving that I held him. I was strong based on the fact that the role was there. It was just not coming together from a kicking, and he's getting those clangers out of his game now, and he's starting to put up big scores. Like this is This is big scores. This is, top six defender scores. So I'm happy to have him. Yeah, hopefully continues to go. Merritt just doing Merritt things, actually surprising. He did so well. Thought the Drew tag might happen, but he's just going to get away now. Probably going to have to wait, or actually just try and push him in, because he looks like he's going to another level as captain. Like he's in, where he might let himself drop out. He's really trying to, stay in games even when they're getting just demolished. So it's good to see for those people who picked him. From there, if you picked up the Heppel, you don't mind McGrath. A few people went on him, which is something different. You can't really fault people for trying something different. He didn't really give them what they wanted. And Redmond the same. Should have come to the Crom, but that's a different. I don't think it really would have helped, but it would have been nice back up there anyway. And he probably would have had actually a decent roll off there, but he stayed at the Bombers. And Supercoach isn't really translating for him. Neither is it for Parrish. So Parrish could be a cheap mid-season pickup. He does seem to sometimes have a slow start and then go big. So, who knows what. I don't know if he's got an injury cloud or something. Like, I don't know. He did have an injury at the start of the year. Had they rushed him back? Yeah, it's just a bit of a weird one. But otherwise, the only other one was I think it was Perkins got injured, which is really, really sad, because 93, like he was like a 350k forward, I think. So he would have been, another interesting one that was getting mid-time that could have come into teams, but now it's kind of a weight game till after their bye. Maybe that opens some things up for Ben Hobbs, but I think he's at an awkward price anyway. So going to the team, not a bad start, but not a good start. Maybe I should have gone Sanders over McKercher, just knowing that Norwood Oval was quite small. But 54 isn't, absolute horror, and I think a lot of people would have put him on field anyway. We can check that here. What is it? 68% of teams with 96% starting. So it's not the worst. I mean, House's numbers are a bit worse. It's like 62% with 64% starting. But yeah, I just couldn't really move. I could have moved. I did have a boost, so I could have moved House. But I thought, the Crows have been letting up a lot of kicks, so maybe House gets onto some, and it wasn't to be. But be the break even, and I can move him on next week, or just wait for McKercher and Co to get their DPP. But yeah, really happy with Martin. He's like 17% owned, is he? 15% owned, so that's like a good pod, and hopefully Hewitt can go big against Fremantle and get a 120 as well, because he's a 2% pod. And then like Sarong, Bonds and Green, everyone owns, so who really cares? Bonner's actually a pod as well. I think he's like 4%, 7%, no, 9% owned, sorry, which is low. So hopefully he can go well against Richmond. I think there'll be a lot of ball for him to get free and uncontested. So hopefully a score translates. Next week will be interesting. So and then not the happiest having to build Darcy and Reed, but I just can't trust Wilson, sorry. And Cadman might have a hard time against like a Taylor with Gold Coast. So I think I'm just gonna go Reed. I think Reed, like the game's about to start on the Adelaide Hills, I think that it actually could not be too bad, because Sydney are quite a contested team at times, which means it's not the worst to have him. Heaney's was going to be the captain option, but I'm just going to take the 129. Heaney hasn't had his down game yet. I don't want to be on the end of that on a captaincy. I like Heaney more as a VC, even though he has been playing so well this year, but I think I'll just take the 129, learn my lesson from last week. And the trades this week were Powell in for so Powell for Holmes was more for structure. Holmes' average was getting up. I mean, break even was getting up there. Out of the 3, 4, 60-ish K players I had, I liked him the least because he seemed to get pushed around a lot. Hewitt's getting top CBAs and Martin's got the Seagull role, which was proven last night. And he's also got the DPP opportunity, whereas Holmes is like starting bat, then moving to the wing, then going in the middle. And it's just like, it's not conducive for him. And then Sexton went out over Lazaro more because obviously if Sexton's being dropped, they didn't like his role. They want to try some young boys, and if he does come in, I'm just worried he's just going to go forward anyway, which is no good for his scoring. So thought I'd drop him, keep Lazaro, who was actually scoring all right, and Lazaro also after this week has very nice emergency loopholes, even though it goes back to top best 18. He still had good loopholing, and I just kind of liked the fact that I could do that. So yeah, I'm probably the bad decision for this week because I can't loop this position now. But I'm just gonna back Darcy in. I mean, yeah, he's gonna get some ruck time. English is well, they brought Stanley back in more for English, I think, than just because Conway needs a rest. I just don't think that's necessarily the only reason why they brought him back in. So yeah, we'll just go from there. I was going to trade Jordan this week, but I kept him. Could go to like a Flanders or something, but I just want to see Flanders one more week against a team that's a little bit better because we look at Flanders just quickly. Yeah, 528. So I could go him, but just looking at the teams he has played are Richmond, who've let a lot of scores up, Adelaide, who've let a lot of scores up, and he got a lower 100 against the Dogs. Like these two teams are very good for midfielders to score against, and then the Dogs, that was at Ballarat, but yeah, I just think that the 102. Yeah, I just think that this could maybe be not worth it at this price is what I'll say. Like Power 73, yeah, low break even though, and also he was 380 or whatever, whereas Flanders 528. Like I could see that maybe happening here, but I'll probably be wrong. But yeah, you got to go with your gut sometimes. But yeah, that's the team, and hopefully things go well, and we get some good scores going forward. So anyway, hope you're all having a good weekend as well, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.